welcome back to Math Expressions with Miss Hasty. Today is Unit 6, Lesson 3, Writing Word Problems. We struggle enough with reading word problems and solving them, but now we're going to write some word problems. And we're going to help you out quite a bit on this one. So here we have page 247. So if you would turn in your activity book to 247, you're going to have some blank lines and an equation that you would want to write a word problem to. And we're going to give that to you. So at the bottom of this, there will be a link that shows where you can go and get these documents so that you can print them off and you can have them so that you can complete your homework tonight. But we're just going to go through them and make them a little more familiar for you. All right, so write a word problem for the equation, draw a model to show the situation, and solve the word problems. Here we go, page 247 and number 1. So we have 3/4 times 2, and the ones I like to use most with these is if you're making a recipe and something calls, like for example that they have written down here, recipe calls for 3/4 cup of flour and you want to make 2 times the recipe. Okay, so that's a really simple way of looking at it. And then they also have some models here for you. That's one way of showing 3/4 2 times. That's really going back for us. Okay, and then we just multiply 2/1, 3/4 times 2, and you get 6/4 cups of flour. So there's a nice example for you for that equation. Number 2, this one's a little bit more complicated. So here we have 5/6 times s equals 5/18. Okay, and we know that when we're multiplying fractions, it is your numerator times your numerator and your denominator times your denominator. So that number in there is 1/3, right? Oh, I have a highlighter on, sorry guys. That number in there is 1/3. Change colors, okay? So that's 1/3. All right, and sometimes solving it helps to write a problem a little bit easier. So 5/6 of the students bought lunch. There's your 5/6. 5/18 of the students bought a chef's salad. What fraction of the students who bought lunch bought a chef's salad? So that 1/3 is the missing number. So if you were to write this out, with the missing number in there, 5/6 times 1/3 equals 5/18. That's how many bought a chef's salad. And then number 3, we have $6 times 3.5, or $3, or 3.5 hours would be another way to say that. So here's an example of a story problem that would simplify, or that would satisfy that equation. Abby earns $6 an hour mowing lawn. She mowed for 3.5 hours. How much did she earn? Well, if you do the math there, you come up with $21. And then there's a model of what would that look like. So that's 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, 6 times. So there's a model for that one. All right, let's go ahead and turn the page. Now I know I'm going a little quick on this, guys, but as I said, you are going to have this document in front of you. You don't need to write any of this. I'm going to make sure you have it so that you can use it as a resource when you complete your homework. So let's go ahead and look at page 248 then. So number 4, this is an example of an equation, and then underneath an example of a word problem that it would work for. So 1/4 divided by something equals 1/8. Well, here would be an example of an equation. 1/4 of a pitcher of lemonade was shared equally among some friends, and that's that C. How many friends are sharing it equally? Each friend's share was 1/8 of a pitcher. How many friends shared the lemonade? Well, that answer would be 2, okay? And to get that, we would just take because here we have 1/4 divided by 2 equals 1/8. So you're going to solve for that 2. Okay? Number 5 here, s divided by 1/2 equals 6. Okay? So what kind of a story problem might fill that need? How many sheets of paper, each folded in half, will create 6 halves? Okay, so this answer here would be 3. So 3 divided in half would give you 6 pieces, and that kind of shows you what that looks like right here. There's 6 equal pieces. And the last one, number 6, $16.50 divided by 3 equals R. Okay, so here is a word problem that would fulfill that equation. Jackson earns $16.50 babysitting for 3 hours. Okay, at that rate, how much did he earn in 1 hour? So it's $16.50 he earned altogether. Divide that by 3 hours, so that means he earned $5.50 per hour. Okay, so again, these will be provided to you so that you can use them to complete your 6-3 homework, which is writing a word problem for the equation, draw a model to show the situation. So for number 1, it is 2/3 times 3. So my direction would be to go back to page 247 when you have that resource in front of you. Let's do that. And here is one just like it. It is a fraction times a whole number. And that's a nice one for recipes. Okay? So you'd write a word problem. Remember, a word problem usually has 2 statements, and then the last sentence is a question in what is being answered by the equation. And then if you look at number 2 on the homework, that's 3/4 times s equals 3/8. That's very similar to number 2 on page 247. That will help you with that one, coming up with your own word problem. And then the last one on the homework is going to be 248. Let's look for one that's very similar. And that would be like number, which one? So it is a whole number divided by a fraction. That would kind of be like S here, a whole number divided by a fraction. Okay, so you would come up with your own word problem that would satisfy that equation. All right, let's take a moment and look at remembering. Make sure that we are familiar with everything we need to do there. We've done these fraction boxes before, kind of a little bit of a review. So you have for number 1, 3/4 and 5/6. And first you need to compare the two. Which one is the larger fraction? Then you need to add the 2, subtract the 2, and then multiply the 2. All right, and same for fraction box number 2. Use those 2 fractions. Comparing them, you can either cross multiply to compare them or find a common denominator and compare them that way. Okay, let's go through our story problems here to make sure that we know what our equations are. Number 3 here, a $1,508 award is shared equally by 8 people. What is each person's share of the award? So you're going to take your 1,508 divided by 8 people. Now, if you don't get an even number, remember this is going to be money, right? So you're going to have to turn that into a decimal. Make sure you have an even number with your decimals, okay? Number 4, Philip has 54 coins in his collection. His brother Pedro has 1,269 coins. The number of coins Pedro has is how many times the number his brother has. This is a really good situation to use a situation equation. So we know Philip has 54, and it's how many times 1,269. So how would we solve for that? This is the unknown. We'll call it F for Philip. So we're going to take that 1,269 divided by 54, and that is going to give you your unknown. And remember to label number of coins, right? Okay, write an equation to solve the problem. Draw a model if you need it. Number 5, how many periods of time, each 1/6 of an hour long, does a 10-hour period of time represent? So what is being split up here? A 10-hour period of time being divided into 1/6 of an hour. Okay, remember this is dividing fractions. The 10 whole number goes over 1. You're going to find the reciprocal for the second and flip it, turn it into multiplication. And the stretch your thinking, write a word problem for the following equation. So 4/5 times 1/4 plus adding 3/5 to that. So that's quite a stretch your thinking. So do your best on that. Let's see what you come up with. All right, boys and girls, that concludes lesson 3. And again, I will have the documents available for you that you can click on them and download them so that you can print them and you can use those, okay? We will see you tomorrow for lesson 6-4. Have a great afternoon.